It's morning, or at least I believe it to be morning somewhere outside these metal walls. About 7 hours ago or so, I saw another person disappear from this elevator. Her name was Amanda, and something beyond comprehension killed her. Since that time I have been in and out of consciousness, trying to let my body heal. The second fall from above rattled me, and it left me thinking that escape from this nightmare might be impossible. I have come to terms with the fact that powers beyond what I understand are at work here, creatures, supernatural beings that probably defy explanation. There isn't another explanation to the craziness we have experienced so far, but that alone is not what is frightening me. A few of the strangers I have met in this place fought for their lives and lost. Phil, the maintenance man, looks like he is next. I watched over the next few hours as Sydney helped him and kept an eye on the unconscious army private. The crushed hand will likely cause blood clots and more problems down the line, but for now the focus is on Phil. We have taken his gun and belongings away, using the small supplies to keep our bodies alive. As the maintenance man struggled to breathe, she found a way to keep him upright against the left wall, away from where tissue and flesh on the elevator floor were still slipping into the tiny hole. The sludge burned. I can't help wonder if he will make it. I close my eyes again to heal, listening to their moans of pain as sleep comes. Once I was awake, I scooted the few feet that separated us and looked into Nick's bag to see what else might help us. I also wonder if he will wake up and if we will ever find out his story. Phil wakes up next and asks if there is any water. There is, but it isn't much. I offer it to him anyway. Phil took it and commented, "Thanks. It feels like I've been hit by a freight train. Careful, we'll have to share that." I said, "I'm already parched." Realizing we have been here for days with little food and water has me feeling the weight of our situation. There really isn't enough to make sure we can survive for longer than a few more days. If we even last that long, maybe the worst is over, Chloe says, trying to remain optimistic. Her once well-organized outfit is messy and torn because of the things we have endured. I don't want to be unrealistic, so I don't respond and instead look at the door where Amanda was literally eaten alive. A dark thought has crossed my mind since her disappearance, that others have made no mention of her, as if they can't recall. I decide to test the theory and ask Phil how many people he remembers in the elevator before the drop. Phil scratched his chin and gave a good look at my face. I can't say I remember for sure, but I meet a lot of people working here, he said. I shook my head and tried to calm myself. I need to voice my concerns to the others. We've been in this elevator for about 3 days now. There were 7 of us. Now there are only 5. Do you remember any of this? I asked. I watched his reaction for any sign that he was lying or pretending. But once again he showed genuine terror as he realized as well his mind was slipping away. I would think that I could remember all of that. Has it really been 3 days? Shouldn't our phones all be dead by now? I'm thankful for the little things we have. It's what keeps us going, I said as I checked my percentage. Mine sits at 37% and Chloe tells me hers is at 4% when she wakes up. We have kept them powered off and hardly used them for anything other than notes. Chloe has chosen to leave that obligation to me, I suspect because she doesn't want to grapple with more stress. Sydney was awake now as well, and after a short conversation with them I have confirmed they have no memory of Amanda or the girl. It's good to see Phil is better, Chloe remarked. I did what I could, Sydney said with a shrug. You're an amazing nurse, especially since the psychopath over here seems fine, I said, looking to unconscious soldier. We need to decide what to do about him. Phil told us. The air in the room feels menacing and I ask him to clarify. He has been a loose cannon from the start, and we don't even know why he is here. Everything about him screams that he's dangerous. I think he is hiding something, and I'm sorry I didn't believe you before. He adds, wait, are you saying we should interrogate him? Chloe asks in surprise. He has refused to give up any information willingly, and he nearly killed me yesterday. I think we all have a right to know what the heck he is doing here, Phil decided. And if he doesn't cooperate, Sydney wonders. We do what has to be done, Phil orders. None of us are comfortable with this plan, but we agree to it anyway. We wait for him to fully recover, making sure his body is restrained using the loose material of his army jacket as rope. When Nick finally wakes, he is on one side of the elevator near the door and we are on the other, and it doesn't take him long to realize that he's under scrutiny. "How do you feel?" Sydney asked. Nick looks down at his body and then toward the makeshift sling that she placed around his left arm. "I can't feel anything. Pain will return. You are still in shock," she tells him. He next realizes I have his gun. "What are you planning to do with that, Eli?" he asks icily. "We're just going to talk," I said as I pass it to Phil. "This is the thanks I get for trying to do what is necessary," he mutters. "You almost shot me in the head, you fucker. What the hell is wrong with you?" Phil asks. "I had no idea if you were going to live. I was trying to do what I thought was right," Nick admits, "like how you lied about the gun in the first place. I'm sure the journal is in there too, in that briefcase. You can't open that case." "Not here," Nick demands. He sounds frightened when he says it and it makes me uneasy. I sat closer to him. "What were you planning on doing with this gun?" Nick, his eyes darted to the side. He doesn't want to answer. Guilt is written all over his face. "I don't have to answer you," he said. "Yes, you do. Because here's what I think. I think you are the one that wanted us here to begin with," Phil said, waving the gun in his face. "Your journal. It had a note with my name on it." "How did you know my name, Nick?" I asked. He doesn't respond and I sighed in frustration. He has decided to do this the hard way. I ball my fist up and hit him hard against the face. "Answer me, damn it," I said, but the soldier is as stoic as ever. Chloe and Sydney can't watch as Phil and I begin our intense interrogation. I can't even believe what I did as I take the man's hand and began to bend his fingers backward, but Nick is stubborn. He says nothing at all as we torture him. I can tell after a while, though, that he is breaking, sweating bullets as we demand answers and push the limits of what we are capable of what we allow ourselves to do to him. I did things I can't even admit now. I want to forget the way his eyes looked hollow as we slapped and punched him against the face again and again, blood and tears streaming down his bruised cheeks. "Why are you doing this?" Phil demanded. "You've got me all figured out, right? Why don't you tell me?" Nick said, spitting on the floor near the maintenance man's shoes. Before Phil can respond by slamming the butt of the gun against his head, the lights in the elevator come back on again. All of us freeze because we anticipate that the monster is about to attack again, but it never happens. Instead, as I look up, I suddenly realize that the hatch to the elevator shaft itself has been dislodged and I can see a faint glimmer of light on the other side. "Holy shit, we might have a way out of here," I said as I pointed to the hatch. We were ascending for a pretty long time earlier. It would be a hell of a climb for all of us. Chloe paused and looked toward Phil, an unspoken truth clear to all of us. If we did attempt to get out of the hatch, he wouldn't be able to make the climb at all. Then just one of us should go. We have to at least give it a try, Phil says. He sounds resigned and defeated. I know he is tired from everything we have done to Nick. Sydney looks nervous about the idea of attempting to leave the elevator. That creature is right outside. We could be swallowed up the second we climb. She says none of us are eager to experience the same pain that Nick had felt when his arm was crushed. We flip a coin then. "Just the three of us," I said, turning to the two women. "It's obvious we are the only ones physically capable of making the climb," and after a short awkward silence they agree. We use rock, paper, scissors to decide which of us will be at the top of our human ladder. Sydney is the unlucky winner, although her expression tells me she is terrified of what might lie beyond the relative safety of the elevator. We don't have to do this. Maybe we should just keep waiting. Chloe suggests it's past time for that. This thing will kill us if we stay here, or we will starve to death. No rescue is going to find us, Phil said. I'm surprised to hear his dismal outlook, but I know he is right. If we are going to survive, we have to attempt to make an escape. This time we use the backpack as a stabilizer for the bottom of the human ladder. Nick doesn't offer his support, but given how injured he is, I'm not sure he would be able to help even if he wanted to. Phil and I form the base this time, and Chloe is the middle. Sydney slowly ascends and reached the top in only a matter of seconds, but it feels like an agonizing eternity. I struggle to keep myself from collapsing as I look up to see the nurse fit her tiny hand into the open hatch, and she feels around for anything that might pry it loose. I can't get it. It won't budge, she says, and Phil shouts for her to try again. I can hold a little longer, please try to open it, he demands. Sydney is literally leaning her full body weight toward the hatch to try and get it open. Then I heard a strange hissing noise. At first I thought it was the monster. I got it. I think I got it, Sydney said as the hatch fell open. Above our heads, strange purple mist began to cascade from the open hole into the elevator as I instinctively held my breath for dear life. Immediately, though, I began to feel lightheaded. I could hardly keep myself from feeling faint. The others below began to lose their balance. I saw Sydney trying to pull herself up through the mist-covered hole, but it was clear her strength was waning. Then Chloe lost her grip and Sydney was dangling onto the ceiling with every last bit of power she had. Round me I heard that others collapse from the mist and I couldn't see if she made it. Something told me deep in my gut either way this was far from over.